Welcome to the Challenges of Change, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey towards self-improvement and personal growth. I'm your host, Laura, a mindset coach in the health and fitness industry, here to guide you through the hurdles that life throws at you. In each episode, we'll delve into practical strategies and insightful discussions to help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, upgrade your mindset, and ultimately reclaim your sense of worth. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of change, challenges, and self-discovery. And we are back for another episode of the Challenges of Change. And I am inspired and excited to introduce our guest today, Deborah Yeager, who she's going to tell you all about herself. But before she does, when we first got to talking, it was like synergetic unicorn sisters from another mister. We're like so much in alignment of how we view the world, the energy moving from one state to the next. And I'm pretty sure I just want to be her friend, but you guys get to enjoy all of that with me today. So Deborah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I have chills all over my body. Thank you. Honored to be here.
Well, we are definitely honored to have you here. So before we just dive into whatever we're going to talk about today, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? What makes you you, what you do? Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, so before I talk about like what I do now, I always like to go back into the past because in the theme of change and challenge, I think a lot of us are up against a lot of change. And for some of us, it can be amplified with challenge to then put us into the state of willingness to change.
Mm.
And so my major shift happened back in 2011. And a lot of you may think about, 2012 was a big year, astrologically. I find that when I talk to people that have had massive transformation, it's been through this period of that like window of opportunity between now and 2012. And
Mm.
so for me, everything was falling apart in 2011. I was in rock bottom in all area of life. And I want to preface, if you're going through rock bottom in all areas of life, I know it feels shitty at the time, and it is a magical gift once you get through the other side. Because
So
it's
hard to
defined.
believe when you're in the shit, but it's so true.
Right. When you come out the other side, you have so much wisdom, you have so much character traits, you have so much strength, power, and then ultimately it allows you to serve in a more, heart-based centered, empathetic way, Christ consciousness. That's why we're here, is to serve from the heart. And so my story kicks off, I was in a career that was completely wrong for me. Some of your listeners may be feeling this way currently. I felt like every single day that I woke up, I had to put on a mask just to survive. And I felt like my soul was completely leaving out of my body. I felt completely trapped and I didn't know what to do. I also was in a relationship with men, and I used to identify with this. I used to say, I am a loser magnet, and I almost had an identity like almost like a badge of honor of like how I could literally move from state to town, and keep attracting the same freaking bum over and over again. I didn't understand why, and I would say, I am never gonna do that again. And then poof, the miracle of your wish is what, you command into reality. Little did I know that the words I was speaking into reality was casting the spell.
Right.
That's where spelling comes from. It was casting a spell of magic. I was great at manifesting everything I didn't want.
Right.
And I also had an identity that I was an addict. And I definitely worked the part, whether it be food, drugs, sex, alcohol, attention in all the wrong places. I felt like there was always this void, this emptiness, this
Mm.
brokenness that never could be healed. And at the core, I felt like I was unworthy and stupid. In the career that I was telling you about, I was a sex worker and I was a stripper. And I started that. The first guy I ever hustled was when I was 16, and I got into stripping when I was 17. And, at 29, on the edge of, almost killing myself over and over again from overdose and abusive relationships, the way that how I would lose a man is they would go to prison. I never would speak my truth and say, hey, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, because everything I was attracting was what I felt that I deserved at the
Mhm.
core. And at the core, I actually truly believed unconsciously that I deserved to be punished. And so I created a really great, reality of all these things that were proving to me that I was broken, until I found, and, all of this story, I hit rock bottom. I wake up and I ask for help. So that really was the first step of, shifting this, is because it had, for me, I was a very, knuckleheaded person. It had to get so bad to then put me down to my knees to pray to God, to pray to the universe, to my higher divine, to ask for help. And when I did, this is one of the secrets of the universe, I truly believe, is that when you're willing to surrender to the divine will and to your higher divine, magic will start happening. And so that's when two mentors came into my life, and they happened to be neurolinguistic programming. It's one of the modalities we use now, trained. And I felt like a moth to the flame. And so, if you ever feel that way towards somebody that is different than you've ever met before, because these people, they talk different,
Mhm.
they behave different, they energetically felt different. There
Yeah.
was this congruence about them that it was so, like, it was so tangible, but I didn't know what it was, because at
Yeah.
the time, I didn't even know what personal growth and development was, right? And they invited me to this 3-day event. They're like, you can change your life. And I'm like, whatever the fuck you're talking about. I don't like, because people, they're like, when you're in that stuff, when you're in that
Yeah.
trap and you're in that prison, you're like,
Great.
whatever, like whatever you're selling, like, I
I
don't
don't
know what
want
it
it.
is, but
Yeah.
I'm going to trust my intuition that there's something there for me to learn. And so I showed up for this event, and I literally wanted to leave. My pattern was bolting whenever I felt like I didn't belong. And I sat there in the audience thinking that everybody was better than me. There was business people, lawyers, all these people that I compared myself, because I never finished, college and high school. I barely
Mhm.
passed with GED, right?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking everybody was better than me, but there's something like my soul was saying, you need to stay. And one by one,
Mhm.
I saw somebody transform their life on stage, letting go of massive trauma. And I'm like, there's something there for me. And so, long story short, they invited me to come to the next event. And they basically, and this is one of the things I say to the facilitators we work with, they walked my hand across the finish line of enrolling in my possibility. And a lot of people feel icky around sales and stuff like that, but they actually hard closed me. And in that moment, I needed somebody to tell me what to do,
Right.
right? I needed somebody to guide me and to breathe life and see the possibility that I couldn't see because I was stuck in a prison in my own making. And they enrolled me into the next thing. And after that, I had this massive breakthrough, and the level 1 practitioner training that I took, I cut out, I was taking at the time, just to manage myself, Xanax, Adderall, Oxycontins, Loratabs, smoking meth, and drinking about a fifth a day. And I cut that shit out cold turkey, girl. It was a fucking miracle.
Mm.
And that training shifted my life. And then a year later, I met my husband in the level 2, and then it's kind of been off to the races ever since. And so, yeah, so if anybody's sitting here saying that, there's something that they have big that they want to do that is in their heart and they don't think that they can do it, I'm here to tell you you can do it, because I've proven this with myself, but also the people we work with, that no matter what your background is, what you think your limitation is, anything is possible for you.
I mean, do you guys see it now? Why I was just so inspired by Deborah's story? Because, and I gotta say, I love how you delivered it, because you were talking in a way that almost anyone can identify with. We feel stuck. We feel like we're struggling. We can't get out. We're at rock bottom. And then you deliver the hammer of the job I was actually like having a hard time with was sex working and stripping. And I guarantee you, most of the listeners were already thinking of their marketing career or their social media campaign or whatever it is that they're doing. And it's not, I mean, all my listeners know that I don't judge and I don't care because whatever your path is your path for your own necessary evolution. But I love how you phrased it because it doesn't matter what you are doing. The struggle is so relatable and so real. And that's exactly what so many of our clients come to us saying. But I mean, there's so many things I wrote down that I definitely am going to want to talk about. But I think the thing I want to start with is the willingness to change. Because I think, my background started in personal training. So I heard a lot about willpower, right? Willpower,
Right.
willpower, willpower. And I actually prefer to think of it as the power of your will, the power you have to exert your will over the addiction, over the negative self-talk, over the comforted known. So when you were kind of at that breaking point, because another component of breaking points is a lot of people think they're at it, and then they find a new breaking point, a new rock bottom, right? What made that moment so unique that you actually felt the willingness to change?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many levels. We call it the change state indicator, and it's a way of labeling how people grow and evolve. And
Mhm.
so we have in every evolution of consciousness, everybody talks about up level. Well, there's actually a science and a pattern of how that works. And for most of us that are not consciously choosing to change, in the coaching space, we're doing that. And that's what's so beautiful because it prevents all the struggle bus. You're still going to have challenges in your life, but you're actually going out there and making an intention to grow versus having the growth happen to you. And so most people are inherently, unless they found personal growth and development, away from motivated,
Mhm.
meaning that the pain has to get so flippin' bad, so that, and for me it was all areas, like it was relationships. I actually wound up in jail for a solicitation of prostitution in Las Vegas. Like I didn't put that on the part of it. Like that was really a breaking point to me, being arrested and actually put into the general population and looking at all
Mm.
these women as cage animals and realizing if I didn't change I would be there or dead.
Yeah.
And so that was a big smack to the ego. Is like, hey, you need to wake up. And but there still was levels of rock bottoms before I actually found my thing. So the turning point really for me was, you know uh that was a turning point. It had to get so bad, but then my coaches that came into my life, they had to consistently resell me into showing up for myself, because I almost didn't show up for the event. I almost didn't show up and stay. I almost didn't stay from the next one. So there was people that were intervening, preventing me from hitting rock bottom again. So whatever the level of despair for that person is, whatever that threshold of pain that they're willing to whatever the pain they're willing to put up with in their life, there's a turning point where they get so sick and tired that of all the messiness that they're willing to change. And for me, it was realizing that if I didn't change, I would be in jail or dead. And then I started searching for something, new. But there was still, just for you to know, that it's not, I think that, success is a zigzag.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's kind
Mhm.
of like climbing a mountain. Sometimes, I live here in Utah, and sometimes when you're climbing a mountain, you feel like you're going downhill. You can't see the top of the mountain. You feel like you're lost. You feel like you're super tired. But if you stay on the path and continue to follow the breadcrumbs, you will get there to the top. And so, and the same thing goes for, after I did level one, I had this massive transformation. I let go of all these drugs, and it was a miracle healing. And there was still backsliding. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, she found level two and found the love of her life and all that stuff. No, I actually ran out of money. I had to go back to work because I had body dysmorphia. I believe that I was too fat because I gained a whole bunch of weight, because I had been in sympathetic nervous system for so long
Yeah.
that I needed to heal. So what I did is I took a step back. I used Adderall to lose weight, to then go to the club, to make the money, to then get to level two, to then find, the next step of the thing. So it's, I want everybody to like look at their own journey and not, I guess in a long way that I'm saying that is not to judge your
Yeah.
path And as long as you are proactively working on yourself, no matter if it feels like you're backsliding, you're on the path. If you're looking for the path, you're on the path.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Brene Brown has become like a very pivotal voice in my own growth. But the first time I was introduced to her, it was when I was still numbed out and I didn't understand or really believe. I thought health was like eat well and move your body. Like that was it. Like head and up didn't even begin to come into my awareness. And I remember everyone was raving about her, and I was just like, I don't know. And then my husband's therapist suggested he watch her TED Talk, and so we watched it together. And I started as let me support him. And then I read her first book, and like it changed so much in how I recognized myself. But I bring up Brene Brown because she always uses the Teddy Roosevelt quote of, and I'm just going to abbreviate my favorite line, if you're not in the arena with me, I don't care what you have to say.
I love that line.
Because it's so true. Like it's so easy to be outside the personal growth realm and judge what you're doing and what you're not doing. And it's like,
Right.
okay, if you want to judge me for trying to improve who I am, what does that actually say about that dynamic? That you're being someone who's spreading hate about me trying to improve myself. If we're looking at character in that standpoint, I'm cool with being in the arena. Because I think what we don't take into consideration, like the physical health, that's written all over our culture of what it means to be healthy, what it looks like, right? But what would happen if we actually took care of our character and our well-being with the same, I don't know, depth, intention, integrity, care? Like, what if we actually held ourselves accountable to the person we actually want to be? Because one of my other favorite sayings is what we tolerate takes over. So when you tolerate shitty behavior from yourself or others, but
Mhm.
especially from yourself, you're gonna get shitty results. Like I identified as a loser magnet. You were unconsciously manifesting more of what you didn't want, right?
I know,
Same.
and I had it on like a badge of honor. It was almost like, like people get labeled with ADHD,
Yeah.
dyslexia, and I was labeled with all that too. And I'm like, oh, look, I have this thing that gives me excuse to play small,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
some people are not gonna like that I said that, but I truly believe that labels are bullshit. Because I've been labeled and I transcended all of that. I
Yeah.
think that you can't put a human in a box,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that behavior that causes a label is a quantum in nature. And so you can't just put like one label and dynamic to explain everything. What about the trauma? What about their reading strategy? What about, their modalities of excellence? What about the
Yeah.
talents and genius that they have?
Yeah.
Right. So we'll go down another rabbit hole about that. But like, yeah,
It's a ceiling. Like
it's a
I've
ceiling.
I've been labeled a lot of things as well. And the line I always talk about with people when they try and throw their labels at me as I can't for this label,
Right.
I always say your label is to help you understand symptoms and things you might experience. So like when I first was diagnosed with ADHD, oh, no wonder I organize in stacks. That's what helps me do it. So I learned
Mhm.
I need different systems to work for my brain than what someone who's neurotypical does. That's
Right.
it. It made it
Exactly.
easier to Google. Like that's the level of depth that a label should carry. Beyond that, it's a ceiling that you are putting there. Why?
Hmm.
Right? Like
100%.
that's what I would tell everyone listening to ask themselves, whether you identify as a people pleaser or perfectionist or an addict. Why
Right.
are you putting that ceiling on yourself? Because one of the other things you were talking about is you had to be regularly convinced to believe in yourself. You were enrolling in your possibility, that hard sell, right? And you're right, a lot of people don't like hard sells. Why was their belief in what they could see in you enough to move you beyond your own fears?
Right. So, when we're working with our clients, I expect, so the frame of which I work with,
Mhm.
the container I hold for people is I expect miracles.
Mm,
I also expect that every label that they've ever been labeled is, like you said, a genius that has not been discovered. And so it's simply recategorizing what that means to that person and seeing the gifts with inside of that.
mm,
And then also knowing that another label of even exponential gift is also a paradigm that puts a box around their capability. Right. So every belief that we have is also limiting because a great teacher of mine took us to Tulum. We flew on a private jet. We had this amazing experience. She's very well known in the transformational space. And we had this amazing weekend of luxury, fun play, and just like the most incredible experience with friends. And at the end, she went around the room and asked us, "What is this experience like for you?" And by the way, I had been manifesting being on a private jet for quite some time. I imagined like where I'd sit with a champagne glass, everything like, and it all came true, right? And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, this is a freaking amazing. I know there's always more. So I label it as, a 9 or an 8. And she goes around, everybody saying 9, 8, 10. This is an amazing experience. Thank you so much. She said, what if this is just a 2?
mm.
And I get chills on my body because that's the way that I think about with clients. And that's what I think about with myself as well, is that every up level, every transformation, every gift that they discover about themselves, that's just a 2 what's possible because there is no cap on human possibility.
Right. Right. Like I think this sentiment is exactly why I labeled you my synergetic unicorn sister because there is no ceiling on that label. You can't even Google something with that, so don't worry. But it's someone asked me once like what my goal was with my business. Actually, multiple people have asked me, and I'm pretty sure some of my own coaches and mentors have asked me, and I literally say I don't set goals because I don't want to limit what's possible. I
Hmm.
have direction, but goals work with like an endpoint in my brain. And then it becomes like a race to get to the goal because I have ADHD and time blindness is a reality. Apparently, I've tracked so many different things. And that is a system I haven't conquered yet. So, still working on the time. Anywho, when
We all have
I'm,
our thing that we're working on, by the way. I
it's
have tons of
fine.
stuff.
I mean, me too. Time is
it's,
one of them. It's
it's
really
part
funny.
of the self-discovery.
My husband will ask me, like, how long do you think it's going to take for you to meal prep? And I'll just start laughing. I'm like, I have no idea. Come on. Like, time me and figure it out for yourself. I have no concept of time, which I love about myself. I really do because I am so present where I am that I lose track of time. Does it come with consequences? Absolutely. And I'll take them. I'm still working on it because I don't enjoy the consequences, but I never want to be fully aware of every minute because being present in my reality is so intoxicating, which is such a cool thing to say now. Coming back to the point of when we perceive something as a 9 or a 10, when we manifest something, we're still limited in what we think is possible based
Right.
on what we deserve, which exactly is, what you were stating in your story of your life experience of like, I was attracting what I believed I deserve. So how do you approach that with your clients when you're seeing their deserving stratosphere, so to speak? How do you help them see beyond?
Yeah. So for us personally, what we do with our clients is we discover the root of where that came from in the first place. And a lot of times it comes in this lifetime. A lot of it's actually been passed down through epigenetics, the DNA of our lineage.
Hmm.
Like for an example, we've seen money stories and, conditioning around money where
Hmm.
people actually have an aversion around money because of, let's say that their ancestors, went through famine or poverty, or they had a business and they lost it. And then that behavior also has been modeled through the generations of teaching and observing behavior. We're modeling machines, but
Yeah.
then it's also epigenetically, programmed in our DNA. They've done studies, I think it was with mice, where every time that they would do a stimulus response exercise with mice where they would have them smell a cherry blossom, they would shock them.
Hmm.
And interestingly enough, I think it was 5 pup generations down would
Hmm.
still have that knee jerk reflex.
Hmm.
And that's really amazing to know that, we have been conditioned, and it doesn't matter what your background is that we have all witnessed at some level genocide, slavery, because that's unfortunately the way that the planet has been for quite some time.
Mhm.
I do not believe that that's where we're moving into. I think the paradigm is shifting into more of a loving, peaceful environment. That's another topic. And that stuff can be transcended down through the DNA. And so people can have this aversion to something or feel like they're intrinsically not worthy
Mhm.
because of what their lineage experienced. And then there's
Hey guys, it's me. I just want to pause you for a brief moment because there's something important that I think you need to know about. So often when I'm in sessions, I hear people talking about how lonely they are, how anxious they are, and we really do need each other. And I've seen through a lot of my corporate work the power of growing and evolving together. So I am super excited to announce that I have launched my community, the Challengers Circle, where you get to come in, become a challenger, connect with other people going on personal growth journeys, understand what the circumstances are like, share your challenges, and see how similar we all are. And there are so many resources in there to help you, from a personal coach to guide you through it, different chat rooms to share experience, different labs where you can literally practice boundary setting, practice saying no, practice regulating your nervous system. Whatever it is that your challenge is, we have created such an in-depth platform that can really, really help you create the change you want to see, because it's not just about the information. It's not just about knowing. It's about the ability to apply. And because we believe in this so wholeheartedly, we are giving anyone who joins a full free month of everything that we offer with the personal guidance of a coach to make sure you are supported, you are accountable, and you are being guided through. And after those 30 days, you can decide which level works for you. If you want to stay in the free level, that is perfect. We want to see what you use. And between now and the end of the year, if you do decide that one of the paid tiers is what's best for you, we are offering $100 off to anyone who joins before 2026. So if you are ready to accept the challenge, truly enact the change that you've always craved in your life, now is the time, and we have created the zone, the arena for you. It's time to come home to yourself, and that is what the Challenger Circle stands for.
And then there's another thing to come into factor. Some people believe in past lives. We've done wild regressions with people that, whether it's true or not, it could just be a metaphor that, their unconscious mind is sending them the message to learn from, in this lifetime. But we've seen people heal all kinds of self-worth issues. Perhaps, whenever they want to speak their truth, all of a sudden their throat freezes up and they can't speak and stand up for themselves or ask for what they want and self advocate. And we've
Mhm.
taken people back where they were hung or burned at the stake or some wild things that you can't even rationalize how real it is for that person, to where they like actually have blisters on their body. I mean,
Mhm.
it's pretty incredible what the consciousness can bring up. And in this lifetime, have you been conditioned to keep your mouth shut? Were you in a healthy, vibrant environment growing up, or did you have a critical parent? Was there lots of trauma, or was there big T trauma or little T? It doesn't really matter. It's how that person had taken it in, because we've had two people that grow up in the same environment, and one person has a self, like feeling worthy, but the other person is completely, petrified and stuck, feeling not good enough. So it just depends. And I find over everybody that I coach, there is for some reason a pattern of unworthiness, whether it manifests in overly overachiever, like
Yep.
a high achiever, to create success, to then prove to the world, prove to mom and dad, prove to society that I am enough by all the money in the cars or the level of success of academia or whatever it is, or my perfect body in the fitness world. Or perhaps for that person, it's an inversion of confidence where they beat themselves up all day and then they're not able to move forward in their life. And it's really fascinating that pretty much everybody I work with has some shape or form of that pattern.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you that before you stated it because that's exactly what I see. I've never had someone, like literally never had someone who didn't have a self-worth issue. And myself was included when I first became a coach. I didn't know it was labeled a self-worth issue. I didn't even know that what kind of motivated me from the personal training nutrition world into the coaching world was because what I was bumping up against was self-worth issues with my clients. I didn't know it at the time because I didn't have the language. And then I became a coach and I got coached and I was like, oh my God, what is this world? And it is so fascinating how how much depth exists in our world. Like we're in the matrix. Like this is a
Right.
matrix, right? Like it's literally the reality of our world. It's just a different, like we don't have people necessarily going in and out as it might appear in the movie, but there are states of awareness that you literally experience life differently. And have you ever heard of vestibular therapy?
No.
So my husband and I just joined this spa near us. It's called Scape Relaxation. And it's like a bunch of different, like they have the red light beds, they have grounding mats, they have a bunch of massage stuff, salt bed. But they have this vestibular therapy room, which is a bed that vibrates to meditation frequencies, binaural
Oh,
beats,
yeah.
and you put headphones on. I have an Aura ring. It is the most fascinating thing to experience the chills that move through my body, entering different states multiple times in like an hour. And if you look at the data of my ring, it's like it literally shows random spikes, but I even notice how my thoughts will change from one space to the next. One, I'm calm and peaceful and I'm like water. The next, I'm excited and curious and playful. And I'm not doing anything but laying there and listening. And it just makes me want to shake the world sometimes, be like, there's
Hmm.
so much more here. And yet, I totally understand that we all need to walk our path because
Right.
that is how we find the motivation. We create the story. And ultimately, the whole purpose of consciousness is to rediscover itself with this a new depth that couldn't have been discovered if it knew what it was all along.
That's so, and I didn't know it was called therapy. We have a vibe bed, those that where you have the earphones. We have one here.
Okay.
We have a small biohacking thing. We do retreats out of our house, and so we have the red light, we have the
Yeah.
juve, we have the vibration beds and cold plunge and all that stuff. Yeah. So frequency and vibration, from my perspective, is the key of everything. So
Mhm.
from it's my humble perspective, it's even in the Bible, and God said there is light. So he, like, that, basically that part of the scripture is saying that the power of the spoken word through frequency and vibration creates reality. And it's also echoed in the Egyptian
Mhm.
pantheon. Ptah first conceived in his heart of love and gratitude, then created it through the power of the spoken word. And string theory talks about our entire universe could be just a musical matrix that is weaving this, and our emotions are energy and motion, which is frequency and vibration. So our emotions are, that's how we're manifesting through every single thought, everything word that we do, and then every emotion that we're emoting is creating this reality. So yeah,
I
it's
think the puzzle or the maze that we create in our brain is the most fascinating thing to untangle
right.
because as you do, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like you just have all these, like, what the hell? I thought this was real. I thought this was real. And as you keep unraveling the distortions, you just get free. And I know I said this to you in our like pre-podcast call. There was a cartoon or something in a newspaper of like someone in a cage that was like, let me out, let me out, let me out. But the door was open. And like that's what I feel like we are all in, even you and me as people who have done a lot of the work, like there's no ceiling. There really isn't. So it's like until you can transcend to be light, quite frankly, that is enlightenment, right? So
Right.
it's like, what? So actually, this is the question I want to ask because you pinpointed it earlier about like sadly people have to perpetuate more and more and more pain to then kind of be like, okay, now I'm ready to change. And people have heard this over and over and over again. Why do you think people are so resistant to effort?
Yeah, I mean, I hear this in my space all the time. I have done so much work. And I think it's because, I mean, some people perhaps have done a lot of transformational work, and I believe that's why we're here. So I call it I call it the great work. And if you actually look at the root of the word work, it actually comes from worship. It also
Mm,
comes from service. And going back to our conversation about this void, this unworthiness, I think that this is what I think reality is. And this is just a postulation again. Like, I don't want to limit any belief system because as soon as I'm proved wrong, I'm like open to changing. However, this is how I look at the world is that we come down from spirit, which is complete wholeness,
mhm,
right? And we are God. We are part of God. I mean, it says in scripture that we are part of God. We are from his image, right? And Jesus said, I think in the book of Thomas, that you truly, truly, you will do more than I've ever done, something along those lines. So it's just telling us that we're a reflection of God.
mhm,
However, we choose to come down in these physical avatar bodies. Our soul is then linked when we take our first breath. We breathe in life force energy, and then we're off to the races in this matrix. And then part of that is that we choose to drink the forgetfulness of the elixir that then allows us to play the game with no remembrance of who
mhm,
we are. And so then we are technically in separation from source. And I think that the root cause of feeling imperfect and unworthy is because we're not whole anymore. And so,
mm,
what that unworthiness is actually teaching us to then go and find things in the life of mirrors. So this entire reality is mirrors. So we try to find worthiness in other things, whether it be academia, mom and dad, because it's reflecting back our own divinity. And so at some point we have to hit some sort of awakening, whether it happens through, pleasure and beauty and bliss, but for most people it comes from pain and suffering.
yeah, yeah,
Then like so they're like, hey, I don't need to do this anymore. And so finally the person instead of looks outside, they look within to then do the process of knowing thyself. And it says this on the Temple of Delphi, know thyself. And so that's the initiation for people to then start knowing who they are at the core and
mhm,
then self-discovery. So I think it's a driver that's driving us to grow and evolve. It's been kind of hijacked in the matrix. And some people are like, oh, they're doing it to us. No, we chose it. We came
yeah,
down here to have the spiritual boot camp. We are very evolved souls from my perspective. We
agreed.
came here to have this adversity and challenge, to have that contrast to then learn and grow. And then also at my final closing on this is I also believe that we're moving into a new age. We are going into another 2100 year cycle. We've been in the age of Pisces for the last 2100 years. And we're moving into more of an integrated version of ourselves, which means not throwing out the shadow, but integrating it into the whole to where divine masculine, divine feminine are coming together instead
Mhm,
of being out of balance. And
yeah,
so that's something that we can be looking forward to. And I don't believe that we have to suffer anymore. And that's the birth of these new consciousness and coaching, because it's showing that, if you have will, if you have aligning with divine will and you're out there to serve in a greater way, you actually can create heaven on earth right now. And I see this in my own personal life. You don't have to suffer anymore. Yes, there's going to be challenges, but how you perceive it is how you receive it. And you can look at it as a gift and move through it very quickly, shift your vibration. Your reality changes instantaneously.
mhm.
It's so beautiful, like
It's
magic.
fantastic. Well said. If I could just like have that as like a affirmation and bop your head in the morning, that'd be great. But it's really like as we close things up, the power of belief is really what's jumping out at me because it makes me think of like the first person who ran the 4 minute mile, right? It was impossible.
Right.
No one can do it. And then one person did it, and like the next year, 13 people did it. And who I was pre and post becoming a coach is a 180 to the point my family calls me new Laura. Um,
I love
but
that.
I have regularly said the greatest gift of coaching for me isn't even my business, although I'm incredibly grateful for the abundance I've been gifted, but it's how my work has affected my best friend. because we all want to help the people that we love the most, right? A lot of the ways that we tend to help them are not normally helpful. We would try to fix their emotions. We try and tell them how to be versus let them be who they are and be with them as they expand or shrink as they navigate that path, right? And my best friend knew me before I was a coach and after. And just seeing the 180 of who I became, I never asked her to become a coach. I never asked her to change one piece of herself, but it inspired her to want to free herself more. And seeing her connect more with her soul and connect more with herself has is the greatest gift I've ever been given in my own coaching world is watching someone I love come home to themselves. And it's all about belief. We don't believe it's possible to have such a radical 180 until you see someone so close to you do it. You struggled to get yourself to that next level until there are people, mentors, coaches believing in your possibility, guiding you to that next level because they saw what you couldn't see at the time. And like to that point, that's willingness to say yes, even if you don't know the how. And
Right.
we are here to screw shit up and figure it out. Like we're supposed
Amen,
to
sister.
live. Like we're so scared of getting it wrong. Even the whole like I've worked so hard. That's life. Like that's the point of being here is to engage, to experience, to navigate the highs and the lows and decide who you want to be in the midst of all that and how you want to experience it and stop feeling like a victim because you experience what you're believing and rant over, right? But this is why I love just having conversations with you. And this is only the second one because this is a matrix. And
Hmm.
we're only captured by it as long as we play by the rules and believe we have to.
Right.
But at any point in time, we're one decision away from literally transforming our lives.
And I love what you said about how, you started transforming, and then your, best friend,
Yeah.
she saw you modeling what's possible. And so, I think that's the number one thing that everybody can do is work on you. And then the people around you are going to see what's possible and they'll want to come along. And then I loved how you said that she came home to herself.
Hmm.
And that gave me chills all over my body because I feel like that in it, like just the smallest little phrase is what we're here to do, to realize our divinity in the physical form and come home and remember who we are.
Yeah, I agree. And it's I always heard be the change you wish to see in the world, but I wasn't changing for that reason, but I got the beautiful gift of having someone I love so deeply just model it right in front of me, and it has been just so beautiful. It really, really has. And she's gonna get probably embarrassed, but I didn't mention her name, so it's totally fine. But I mean, thank you so much for everything that you do in the world and sharing this hour with me, sharing your wisdom. And I know people are gonna want to find you, so where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much too. This is a group effort, and thank you all for, being here because I think that we're all in this together and we're all part of the change that's happening right now. I truly believe the people on the planet right now are here to shift, into a humanity that is of peace, love, and change, and seeing the brother and sister and everybody. So,
Hmm.
thank you. If you are interested in continuing to, dive into some of the stuff that we have to offer. Brandon and I have this amazing. Brandon's my husband. He's the one that has been by my side through this entire spiritual process, and I love him so much. We created a really simple and easy way to learn neurolinguistic programming, and that was the start of my transformation, is really learning the power of the spoken word. Because when you start speaking from a place of love and creation, it shifts everything. That is intrinsically everything that is in every ancient text. It talks about the power of the word to create reality. And so it is breaking down the science of communication and the science of success and how to repattern and program the unconscious mind to create success with ease, instead of having to be on the struggle bus. So yeah, so it's called. We have it on our. We'll put it in the notes.
Yeah,
It's nlpmadesimple.com. And for those of you that are listening right now, we're giving you a gift code for it is called NLP. Just type that in, and then you'll get it discounted down.
nice. And we will definitely include that in the show notes to make it super easy, but I can't reiterate this enough. You guys definitely need to check it out because I don't know if I shared this or not, but when I first became a coach, the whole reason I was is because I was trying to help other people. And the greatest gift I got, besides, my best friend becoming coming home, was I was doing it to help other people, still in my people pleasing era.
Right.
And the gift was I became my first client, learning NLP, learning how to reprogram, coming home to myself and recognizing my worth as mine to claim. And it is the essence of this program. So if you are sick and tired of the same old, of suffering the same way, of tolerating the same bullshit, please give yourself the gift and go to nlpmadesimple.com because it is the greatest gift you can ever truly give yourself.
Mhm.
I really do appreciate everything you're doing. It takes a village to heal humanity and to present things in a way that people can really relate to, and you are magnificent at that.
Thank
I'm
you.
really grateful. So thank you truly for spending this hour with me. Thank you guys for listening, and I really hope that this hits home, and please share this with friends because we really do grow stronger together.
Thank you.
I will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Laura, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.